Okay, so this is a video that I'm making after the one I made where I was angry and furious at the Matrix for making the dog defecate and pee all over the floor after I just cleaned it up and I just come down. But that is Simba Dog, and it is this Matrix ruled by people and entities, and the God entity that controls this Earth Matrix world, if you want to look at it that way, that has no problem using animals for any means possible. I don't think this is the original Simba Dog, but if it was, it just shows you how low they will go. That's really all I can say. How low can people who agree to all of this, because people know what's going on. Everyone around me knows about the Simba Dog, and in fact they brought him down. While he can be used to torment and create havoc and trouble and problems for human beings, he's allowed to wander and walk around. But when his usefulness has been, outlived its time, shall we say, then they reduce the animal to nothing, to where it can hardly walk and can't get round, and yes, just sits in its own excrement and urine, more or less, until someone cleans it up. And I can hardly bend over making this video, much less cleaning up a lot of this on a continual daily basis, many times a day. And I mean, the smell and the odour makes you feel sick too, when you are also being suppressed by this matrix and technology. The dog is controlled by technology or possessed by a technological being, if you want to look at it another way. Originally, as I say, I thought this poor thing was controlled through its microchip, which all animals in Sydney, dogs have microchips, every single dog. There are very few stray dogs in it, and I thought it was just controlled by people, powerful people probably, I would imagine, because they would have to be people that, have vast technology and were controlling the animal through the microchip. But that was before I realised that you can have total possession of an animal by another entity, even though I don't know much about these things. I really don't. And either way, it means that an animal is being, totally controlled. So the animal has no life or will of its own. It's just, the body is just being used as a vehicle for any purpose that the matrix and its beings, whether they be people or like technical beings, but this is how they operate. They don't like natural, normal life. They only like technological beings. And they use technology in every way. And I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I do know something. I don't understand technology. I've not been interested in any of this stuff all my life. Been forced to try to understand my own predicament, my own reality, my own environment, just my own local vicinity, if you want to look at it that way, and what is living with me. Because if you've got an animal living with you, the cat doesn't live with me, but it comes and visits, and you wonder what's going on, because that animal is working against you most of the time and always seems to have some problem. Always seems to be causing distress instead of being your friend, like an animal should be. But this animal I can communicate with, so it's told me this. So I know this to be a reality, the same as the cat. when I'm not filming and when I'm on my own, these animals will openly tell you that they are not the... See how it moved its paw when I said that? They will openly tell you by the movement of their body, through their body, because you learn to interpret this. It's quite simple, really, because I asked this question. This is how I realised that the animals were technologically controlled or possessed. Because 3.5 years ago, when I realised this dog was being controlled by some other force because it was working against me and it was doing unnatural things, and I could see that it was deliberately being controlled, but deliberately trying to actually injure me, even though it was an old dog. And it should have been cooperating because I was walking it and trying to take care of it. That's not how an animal does, and this animal has been looked after from a puppy, because it's not I didn't have it from a puppy. It's, it's a relative's dog, but it's not like it was an abused animal that, has then been brought into my house and thinks that I'm the abuser. No, it's not like that at all. It changed. It was a happy, very vibrant, very active dog before it came to live with me. And it still had stamina and could walk anywhere for a few years, and it could swim even when it was blind. But that's because, it would go into water. I could show a video of this. There is a video of this where this blind dog is actually swimming in choppy water, chasing a ball, because it was trained to go and retrieve a ball no matter what. And it would do this. Quite remarkable. Even when it was blind and older, up until, obviously this was like about, probably about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago now. But since then, of course, it's, been gradually suppressed by the Matrix. I'm losing the plot here, actually, and many that watch will say this, but I've lost the thing here. But the dog, the dog is possessed by another entity. Even the body of this dog is not the body of the original Simba dog, in my opinion, even though I personally do not know every detail about this dog's body because it's not my animal. But that is the trick of the mind that the Matrix puts on human beings. Because if you don't believe in possession, or you don't believe in that animals can be replaced, and all this sort of strange and anti-life practices of the Matrix and its minions, and even people who are probably also possessed and really half technological or whatever. I don't know all the details. If I understood how all this had happened and all the different beings, I would be a lot clearer. But I don't need to know it completely. I know that most people support all this. Many people have no problem with technology and medicine and stuff being used anyway. A bit like Frankenstein's monster, as I tried to make that point when I was talking about it. They have no problem with it because they think that it will give them longevity, and a replaced body is fine for them, just as they think it is fine to replace animals' bodies. And you would say, why not? Well, the only difference is that it is not life. That's what I would say. You can replace bodies, but you cannot. But if you have an artificial body, you cannot sustain real life, I don't think. You can only sustain technical life. The body is then technical. It's an artificial body. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to make some sense of it. But it is the opposite of a natural life being. of any sort, whether it be an animal or a person. And because real life, I think now, doesn't need technology to keep going. The only reason it appears that I need technology to keep going and medicine to keep going is because I'm in a matrix that is controlling and sending technology to my body to destroy it. So then you reach out to the matrix and its medicine and its technology to cure you or to help you to continue living in this artificial technological matrix maze that is our reality. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know where this is all coming from, but the thing is that it is not how a natural, normal life human being should be. And none of this would be necessary if it was all natural life, but it isn't. Got myself upset here. The dog is a technological being inside a dog body. But the dog body is also not the original Simba dog body. I know it's different. He blinked. See how he blinked when I said that? It's not the same body. This is not the original Simba dog in any way, really. Blinked again. You can't see that, but I can pick that up. Because I've been tuned to it, because I've been living with it for 3.5 years. Okay? Because the dog was the first thing I noticed when the matrix opened up and closed down. 2-3 days I noticed a change after the matrix opened up. On the third day, I'm like, what is wrong with the dog? Why is he working against me? Why is he pulling and trying to... See how he moved? I think he moved up. He blinked. See how he blinked? He was working against me. He was actually... Whereas the first 2 days, after this dog was left with me by its owner, it was walking with me comfortably and cooperating with me. And I thought, hey, everything is going to be all right. This dog is going to be my friend. I don't particularly want to have a dog, but I will look after this dog till it passes. It's probably got a few years left and I will walk it every day. On the third day, it turned into a different dog in the sense that it started pulling against me. Whereas the first 2 days I was walking with it and even running, actually almost running with it at one stage. I remember when I was trying to chase something and the dog was cooperating with me, even with something, and yet I'd never handled this dog before, never took it for a walk. And yet it was cooperating and moving with me freely and in conjunction with me and taking notice of what I was saying to it. On the third day, it turned against me and started pulling against me with all its might because it was a strong dog even at that point. It was always a very powerful dog. Strong dog. Strong, fast, muscular and very athletic in every way. A very perfect physical specimen, the original Simba dog. But this dog also, even then, was still physically very strong. That is because I think, and I'm only surmising this or guessing because I don't understand technology and all the weird and so-called wonderful things that this matrix does. They think they're wonderful. They're certainly weird. But no, they're not wonderful at all. They're only wonderful for them because they support a technological God being that rules this matrix and this earth. And this being is technological and its only asset is technology. It is everything that is in this earth is controlled and created by the technological being God. And therefore the technological being God only wants to create and have technological beings roaming on this earth matrix or in this earth matrix. I don't think I'm making any sense here. But it's what I do think. but whether I can make it sound sensible is another thing. And as you can see, I'm very loud and angry, which I normally am not. But it's something that has distressed me right from the start. Apart from my own predicament as well, of course, because, I'm still a real thing. Whereas everything that's around me is not a real thing, is not real life. But I have to treat it as real life because it looks like real life. And because I'm human, I don't know how to do any different. But how can anyone think ill of that? That is looking at, look, he blinked, as if to say, how could you? Maybe I've got something wrong. But either way, it's a bit like that movie that I made a video about a long time ago called The Body Snatchers. Where so-called alien beings inhabit the humans' bodies and take them over after they come from heaven knows where, to take over the earth, shall we say. That was called the Body Snatchers, a movie made in the 1960s. And, the minute they took over the body, that person no longer existed, which was why the man in it actually got rid of his own wife that he dearly was married to and loved, because he realised that although it looked like his wife, it was no longer his wife. It was a different entity, and he was aware of this. And he knew that if the entity really showed itself, it certainly wouldn't be his wife. His wife was gone. I'm not sure how that, how it worked in that movie, because that was a movie. But it's still showing you about possession, really, in a way. Even though that movie wasn't presented, they presented in as a science fiction and as aliens coming and all this sort of thing. But that's just... But you can use words, the language to describe different things, but it may not be, and so you get a wrong impression. You know what I mean? I would say that the word alien to me now only means something that isn't human. That's how I would describe it. If you want to say alien, that just simply means anything that is not human and anything that is technological. It's alien to a human being, or the opposite, or something that is destructive to a human being, if you want to look at it that way. Alien means anti-life, anti-human being. The only reason I say anti-human being is because human being is the only life. In this matrix, in this reality. And, I cannot speak for everywhere, but I can only speak for this Earth matrix. And as I don't fully know, my own real origins or any real stuff, I really don't. We're kept in the dark. We're like... that's why it is really difficult to deal with the matrix opening up and closing down and revealing all this artificial, technological reality. Because, we've not been told this. We've not been exposed to it until now, in late stages of what you think is a natural world. Even though I'm well aware that certainly technology has taken over it to a large extent, even at a real level. But either way, as I've pointed out a long time ago in videos, in many ways, most of us human beings probably should know and should have known that our world was not what we thought. But it's because we believe what we're told 100% and we trust that others will think the same way as us, and that they won't be like a Dr. Frankenstein, that they won't be the mad scientist that just does whatever they want and will create and mess with any species and, use technology to create and do anything they feel like just to show that they can. And if they are operating for the technological God and the entities that this is their matrix, then I suppose if you think about it, science is like anti-life in a way, and always has been. In some ways, I shouldn't say that. I could even be not 100% correct on that, but. But, like I say, if human beings were made to where, like I have said from the start of my videos almost, to where their bodies don't need much help, and that in the correct environment, some noise went funny just when I said that because it's so. If human beings just were in their own natural environment, they don't need any science or any help at all, because their bodies, in any reality, provided it's not a technologically controlled reality, to where negative technology degrades and depletes and destroys the human body, from the day you're born, in so many ways that even I do not understand all the ways. And I've only come into this this knowledge very recently. They have no need of medicine, science or anything, because the human being was always a complete entity, if you want to look at it that way, and could just develop and progress itself and do anything for itself. It doesn't need technology. Technology is only needed because